IFAN Financials is obviously a company that thrives on pumps. It's a company that almost has nothing, yet here are some investors who keep on trading it despite all the red flags popping up. Like, no revenue since inception. Now, we've got a pump that just doesn't stop. On a disclosed budget of $3.5 million, it's one of the proverbial big fishes in the pond, if you know what I mean. To take into account the pump, I prepared a timeline of the stock's recent performance. If you happen to take a look, the picture's pretty clear. IFAN was untraded before the promotion started at the beginning of October. Then there was a decline a few weeks after the pump, and you should all know what that means for a pump. If you don't know, however, we made a video that specifically concerns pumps, so you should check it out for further information. Back to the point though. As always happens, the pump was reaching its end. Then suddenly, IFAN shot up again. People have been receiving hard mailer brochures since early October, but what tipped the scales now was something else, what I call the right hand of every promotion. And that is, why, a bit of optimistic news, of course. What you see is a subscription agreement between the company and one investor. And according to the terms, 3.7 million of the company shares were sold for 27 cents each, making them substantially discounted from the current market price. The good news is that, at least for now, the shares are restricted. Yet, unfortunately, there's bad news as well. Last year, 214,000 shares were sold, but after a massive 140-to-1 forward split later in the year, those shares grew to 29 million, sold for approximately $5,000. Shareholders should be aware of this fact. These shares are not restricted, according to the recent interview with the company CEO. IFAN needs a total of $3 million for R&D, and that sum is the reason for the latest shares sold. Unfortunately, it seems the company will continue to rely on equity financing in the future, as its financial state is not exactly rosy. Taken from the latest financial report, they had just $4,500 in cash as their total current assets. Current liabilities stood at $220,000 and no revenue since inception. There are also $750,000 in accumulated deficit. This doesn't paint a picture of a prosperous company, to say the least. Bear in mind, however, that the newer financials were due at the beginning of the month. But IFAN filed a notification for late filing, extending the date to around the 15th. And we all know what it means when a pink sheet does this. And time again, we've seen horrific results from companies that avoided the filing date. They do it to buy time in which to generate hype before the inevitable crash. Whether this is the case with IFAN, I can't say for sure, but it's noteworthy to mention that the CEO, Mr. Christopher Miser, has led a different company in the past called Biomatrix Scientific Group, which currently sits at a price of 1/10 of a penny and is also profusely pumped during Mr. Miser's tenure. This is Martin Nadenoff for HotStock.com.
I have a small amount of money to invest and I want to gamble in the market. I'm looking for a penny stock that'll go up and turn it into $100,000 or $1 million.